Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to Red, White, and Bills. I am your host, Sean, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills offensive line. As you guys know, offensive line is my thing. It's what I enjoy the most about football. It's my favorite position. And we're going to get into it. Buffalo Bills just finished their preseason game with the Chicago Bears. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then my thoughts on the offensive line in general. So for those of you that have been watching me on Nickel City Mafia, you see me pound the table for – you got to be consistent. It took 7 years of this regime to get a competent offensive line where it was Dawkins, McGovern, Mitch Morse is gone, but Mitch Morse, Torrance, and Spencer Brown. And, again, simply put, I know I'm not the offensive line coach. Everybody likes to remind me, you're not Aaron Cromer. You don't know what you're talking about. But all I know is I'd rather fix one deficiency at the offensive line than fix two spots when one of them didn't even need to be fixed. And what I mean by that is Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, both had their best seasons as professional football players last year next to each other. It's not that McGovern was horrible and then we had to move him to center. He was great last year at guard. Of course, PFF, we look at PFF and then we compare the film. PFF and the film didn't match up. He was poorly graded, pass blocking and run blocking, and overall, but the film did not match up with that. And again, we'll be diving into the film as the year goes on as well. But that consistency for them was there. The continuity was there. They know how each other work. They worked very well next to each other. And then all of a sudden now we're going to be like, yeah, well, you were great last year. Let's move you to center because you claim that it's where you're comfortable most. Even though you've only had 100 snaps in the NFL at center and you didn't even play your whole college career at center, we're just going to do that for you, okay? So going into it, I was like, well, great. What I would have preferred to have was someone brought in while Mitch Morse was still here to learn from Mitch Morse. So then when he's out the door, you're prepared and you just submit him right in there. And he's already got somewhat continuity because he's worked with the team before. And then you fix one spot, and then you still got the last four guys that you've already had. Now, granted, Torrance had a great year last year, and Spencer Brown had a really good year last year compared to what he's been. But they both have to repeat last year and get even better because it could be a fluke, right? So Spencer Brown and Osiris Torrance had to take that next step forward, which isn't a given. It's not a guarantee. So between that, then you move McGovern, then you put David Edwards at guard when he's not a starting caliber player anymore. He excelled in a role as a six-man in a heavy package offensive line. Let's be honest, there was a reason that we were able to get David Edwards when we did, because no one else wanted him and saw him as a starting caliber player, because every year you can go on any YouTube channel for any team. Oh, man, we need guards. Our guards suck. We need a starting guard. And nobody picked him up. We did, and we used him as a backup. And he's not part of the future. He'll be gone next year, more than likely. So then you're going to have to find a new left guard. So you're on this big carousel for offensive line when you could have had Deion Dawkins locked up for 3 to 4 years, McGovern at left guard for 3 to 4 years, Van Pran for 4 years because you just drafted him, Torrance for 3 more years, and then Spencer Brown on you can re-sign him for another 3-year deal. But which again, I'm fine with them waiting until after this year to pay him if he does well. For me, that's it's worth the wait because if you pay him and he sucks, then you're screwed. So I'd rather just wait and see if he does another year of consistent play, then I'll pay him. But regardless, you would have had your starting five locked up for 3 to 4 years. Instead of that, now we're shifting from left guard to center, which might not work out. And then you got a left guard who's not going to be part of your future. And then, we got to figure out what Torrance and Brown are going to be this year. But that was my overall thought going into the season. Now, when you look at our depth and when you see it in real time, I'm a little bit concerned. So, again, it was just one preseason game. And I hate when people say it's just preseason, relax. You can't talk about preseason. I'm not going to sit here and say everything's perfect because it's preseason. You get better and players get better and you get better in life by watching mistakes and calling out mistakes and learning from it. So I'm not going to be one to sit here and just say, oh, it's preseason, I don't give a crap. Because for one, I'm making a video about my football team, so I'm not just going to sit here and lie to people. Some people might, but I won't do that. So Alec Anderson, I was watching him and Van Pran today like a hawk because I've been wondering, why isn't Van Pran getting a fair chance? So just starting with those two, Alec Anderson was just not impressive to me. And you could say I'm a little bit biased, but I took all bias aside to watch and evaluate this team. And he was getting bullied. He didn't have a good anchor at all, couldn't get good leverage or a good base. He just kept getting pushed back. He couldn't control the line of scrimmage. And like he didn't scream to me, that's my second team center. Van Pran, on the other hand, again with the third team, or we'll say that, he had a very good day in run blocking and pass blocking. Again, one thing he could work on that I noticed is that when he sets his anchor, he gets a little bit too high when he tries to block once he sets his anchor, but that can be a little tweak. He's going to have he's so powerful and strong that he's able to win those reps even with a technical issue. But when he goes against guys like Quinn Williams and you try to block him high, he's gonna break your anchor and knock your ass over. So little things like that, but he had a great day. And you can't be perfect, especially on the offensive line. You're going to lose reps, but when you evaluate them, you got to look at the total body of work. And I thought Van Pran definitely deserves second team reps going into next week. So now you know if he doesn't, they have something against this kid and he's not getting a fair chance. But he didn't do anything where he didn't deserve it, and he performed really well today. All offensive lines, first, second, and third string, couldn't get any push in the run game. And I know they make excuses. Oh, well, we didn't really game plan for their defense. They were throwing stunts at us and stuff like that and blah, blah, blah. But you don't have to game plan to impose your will on somebody. Your position is to impose will on people. So if you're half-assing it, for one, you shouldn't be out there. And two, you can get hurt. So if you're just that bad where you can't beat someone when you're not game planning, then I'm a little bit concerned about that. So I don't like to hear those excuses from players. But yeah, so no push from any of the teams. I thought on the second team, the most consistent was Will Clapp, even though I don't think Will Clapp is a great player. But out of those guys, I thought him and Tylen Grable were probably the best two. Kyle Collins didn't do horrible, but you could just tell he's slow. You could tell he's old. So he didn't do bad or good. But yeah, he's got some work to do. Again, Grable was okay. Ryan Vandermark was absolutely putrid. He was horrible. Pass blocking, run blocking, everything. He was bad. And that was his better position, left tackle. So but he's our swing tackle going into it. So he needs to have a better week next week. And then again, the guards, Britton and Jarvis on the third team, horrible. Richard Garage was okay. And then I think Grable played the third string tackle as well because we don't have any more tackles. So, yeah, it was uninspiring, but I was hopeful with Cedric Van Pran because, like, you heard Tasker talk about him, and we talked about him many times before. IQ is coming out of the draft, especially at center. One of the highly touted prospects. Not only is he physically strong, mentally strong, great IQ, great in the run game, played on 2 national championship teams, and in practice, went against some of the best defensive tackles in the league. In college football at the time. Now they're pretty good in the NFL. In Georgia. So he's got the tread on his tires. And we're just going to – and then he says something like, well, the offensive line in Buffalo was just so cohesive and put together that it's hard to make the team. Like, our center has never played center for us before. Our left guard is backup. So what do you mean like we're such a cohesive unit where he can't earn a spot? They're just not giving him a fair chance. But yeah, it's just really frustrating. And I do want to, again, overall, the offensive lines together, maybe a C minus at best, D plus effort today. Again, I know they didn't game plan this preseason, but you got to show some freaking effort, man. You got to impose your will still. You still got to dominate. Like, yeah, you're not doing your special plays and, your true playbook. Oh, come on. Like, there's no excuse. But just to get into versatility, and we'll wrap it up quick. A lot of people, especially Buffalo, they're obsessed. Not just offensive line, but defensive players too, maybe some offense. They're obsessed with being versatile. And here's one example outside of football. a utility man in baseball. What is a utility man? Someone who can do multiple things and is an asset to your team, but doesn't start. A utility guy is good at a bunch of things, but not good enough to sit at one spot and earn it and own that spot. And that's what it is in the NFL. You can look at any position. Find me 5 people across the NFL for every position total that is versatile, that is great at every position they can play. Yeah, I don't think you could. So we love that, oh, Alec Anderson can play guard, tackle, and center, but he's not good at them. He's okay, but you don't want him starting for you. You don't even want him really as a backup. And then we don't really want to put him as backup either because, like, oh, he's so versatile, we don't want to lose him if he gets hurt. So what's the point of having him? They did the same thing with Ryan Bates. Cam Lewis is another example on defense. He can play corner and safety, but he's not good at either of them. But that's why he stays on the team, is because he can play both. And it just takes a roster spot from someone who's actually good at one position that doesn't get a chance now because he's not versatile enough. So now they're going to try and force Cedric Van Granger to be, oh, he's got to play guard too if he wants to make this roster. No, he shouldn't have to. If he's good at center, heighten his ability even more to play NFL center and try to stick him at guard and Cody Ford this man. And I'll fight for Cody Ford any chance I get. And one of my first years in doing this, I made a Cody Ford video on how he's not a bust, and we should have trusted him. And he was probably still be our right tackle today, because even Von Miller had high praise for Cody Ford when we played the Broncos his rookie year. He said, man, that young kid's got a bright future. He handled me pretty well, and I'm a Hall of Famer. And guess what? We're like, oh, yeah, let's move him to guard. And then when he goes to right guard and he doesn't play well, oh, he gets hurt now. Oh, let's move him to left guard. Oh, he sucks there. Let's get rid of him. So not every offensive lineman can play multiple spots. And that's any level. Right guard is different than left guard. Right tackle is different than left tackle. Just because you can play center doesn't mean you can play left guard and right guard. It's dependent on the person. And sure, you can be flexible. Like Connor McGovern, he's another, well, he can play guard and center. But he's not really a true center. He's a true guard. Dallas had him playing guard. We have him playing guard. There's a reason for that. So, again, if you want to try to find 5 players in the NFL currently that are versatile and are great at every position they can play, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Please prove me wrong. I'm not about being right. I'm about saying how I feel and then having conversations about it. So these are a brief opinion of my thoughts on the offensive line. I love offensive line. I'll be doing the film on it again this year because a lot of people misunderstand the offensive line. A lot of people look at Josh running, for example, and, oh, he's been under duress the whole entire day. But then when you watch the film, Josh left the pocket early because the receiver couldn't get open because there was sticky coverage in the secondary. So he ran to get the other guy the opportunity to do a scramble play and get open. Or Josh held the ball for 5 seconds, and then they all of a sudden some pressure comes. Because you can't – part of the offensive line is you are holding every single play, and the longer you hold, the longer the play goes, the easier it is to get caught holding. So you can't just expect them to hold for 5 seconds so you can make a play. Also, Josh also holds the ball too long, and then that causes sacks for himself. As you see the actual sack numbers and then the total sack numbers that are credited to the offensive line is significantly less because the rest of them are attributed to Josh. He was also sacked the least amount in the NFL as well. But yeah, it's just – and then when blitzes come, a lot of defenses, especially Bill Belichick, he always sends one extra person than you can block. And then they say, oh, the offensive line sucks. Well, if there's 6 people blocking plus a running back and they send an extra person, you can't do nothing about it. Yeah, everyone's got their assignment. You can try, but someone's going to get through. It's just impossible. So that's why I love to do film and offensive line, not because just I love it, but because I like people to all understand it's one of those positions where it's physically impossible to be perfect in every single play. You're going to lose reps, and you still can be a great player. Like that playoff game. Oh, Deion Dawkins got burned by Chris Jones. He lost the game. That was the only pressure he gave up the entire game. He had a fantastic game, and that's one of the best. That is the best defensive tackle in the NFL now to this point. Defensive line player in general. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I know preseason it was hard to really, no push from up front. Pass blocking was okay at some points. They gave up 5 sacks, so certain players were iffy. I was super high in Cedric Van Granger. He did a fantastic job. Tyler Grable was another guy, and then Will Clapp. Outside of the starters, those three were pretty solid to me. Definitely earned more reps. So they're both on second team. So Cedric Van Pran just should be up on second team, getting more reps. And first team offensive line, you got no excuse. So we'll be dissecting it again next week. And as you're watching this will be recorded on Saturday. I don't know when I'll be posting it, but whenever you see it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be putting out more videos. Appreciate you guys, and go Bills.